Right. Right, there we go. Welcome back. Welcome back to Broke Boys Tier 2. It's round 15 of the season, and tonight could become a very special one. The championship is on the line between Tipti Paul and Wardy. It's quite a significant gap, but if Paul manages to outscore Wardy tonight by 9 points or more, he will be crowned world champion of Tier 2. And it's not a usual weekend either, because we've got a sprint race for the first time this season, and the only time this season. We're here at Abu Dhabi Yas Marina circuit, starting off with qualifying, which will determine the grid for the sprint race, and then the result of the sprint race will determine the grid of the main race. So it's going to be a bit different tonight. And we've got some new names, and Nuttall is driving in the Alpine on his debut in Broke Boys. RB 97, 79, 97 in the McLaren, also making his debut. So two debutants tonight. The others we have seen before. The eyes are gonna be on Paul and Wardy, not the first time this season. Tonight become the championship decider. 9 points is the gap, as the amount of points that Paul needs to score more than Wardy, so it could not be won in a sprint race, fortunately. Be a bit of a anti-climactic ending. It will be done in the main race or next week. Let's hope not, because Wardy won't be driving next week. We shall see what Broke Boys has in store for us tonight. Already a lot of drivers out there on their flying laps. Flying duck in the Williams. He is flying, but unfortunately not within track limits. Invalidated his first run. It was a 22.8 in the end, but he'll have to try again. First one to set a lap time will be Sakir in the Aston Martin, with a brilliant start last time out in Brazil, but he tops the timing sheets for now with a 22.7, which is a very solid banker lap. Zimniak then across the line to P2, a few tenths behind. As Raiden goes to the top, at 2 tenths quicker than Sakir. Always a solid banker lap for the Williams driver. Charles is back as well in the Alpine, and he puts it in P2 at the moment. It's already very close, a few hundreds behind Raiden in the Williams. So Flying Duck, the other Williams, is replacing Sly this weekend. Some broken pedals. See what he can do for the Williams team, who are in desperate need of good points. They're fighting for second place in overall constructors. Oh, and Flying Duck once again with an invalidation. That's far from optimal. More times on the board. Temp Cannon has put it in P4. A few hundreds ahead of Skullkiller. And Skullkiller is only 5 thousandths of a second ahead of Zimniak. Little in the Alpine. First race tonight. See if they can make a good impression. Little here, hello mate. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you. Around the final corner. Will it be into the 122s? Into the 123s it is. 23.2. Splits the two Haas cars. And is in P8. As Pry has gone to P4 in the Red Bull. Just about in the 22s. 2 thousandths away from a 23 flat. And he's now behind 7 Dead, who goes a tenth quicker. With a 22.888. Both championship protagonists still in pit lane. Meanwhile, Sean is on a good lap as well. Navigating through the middle part of the last sector, I should say. Very easy to invalidate coming out of either of these corners. Keeping it nice and tidy within track limits. Across the line for 22.4, and that's the top of the times. And that's a very solid banker lap from the Red Bull driver. Almost a tenth quicker than Raiden. So not just tidy, very tidy indeed. Flying Duck once again trying to set a lap time. His previous 2 attempts ended up in a invalidation. Frenchy is out as well, had a very solid week last time out in Brazil. I think it was P5 or P6 in the end, from quite far down the grid. Yeah, we've got Wardy out on track. He needs to put a miracle tonight to beat Paul and have a great race. And there we have Seth Paul. He is out as well. Both of them going out at the same time. Always a favorite for pole position. Can never count him out. Pole position, but not for the win either. Frenchy begins their lap as well. Flying duck trying again. Into the chicane. Chicane of turns 6 and 7. Now making their way to turn 9, and that's surely invalidation. It is. That's quite a silly invalidation on a straight. Cutting across the runoff. Meanwhile, Wardy has started his lap and he's gone purple in sector 1. So keep an eye out on Paul as well as he starts his lap now as well. Can they get below a 22? Can they get into the 21s? Maybe. It was light for Paul as another purple sector there for Wardy, so he's gone purple at the moment. Looking to top the times. Now into the final sector. Tricky final sector. Playing with the track limits. Coming out of turn 16 as well. Turn 14. And now into turn 16, the final corner. Will it be enough to get ahead of Sean? It's not quite enough for Wardy. He puts in a P2 with a 22.5. Now what can Paul do? He's now going into the final sector. He's been very quick in practice, setting mid to high 21s. Will this be enough to challenge Sean as both Sakir and Charles get ahead of Wardy? So Wardy's now down to P4. Here comes Paul out of the final corner. Big slide and across the line and for 22.4. Despite a few minor slides and mistakes on his lap, it's still good enough to go fastest. But only by a few hundredths of a second. But that's a very, very solid banker lap for the championship leader. And with his championship rival down in P5, it's looking positive for him for the championship trophy tonight, as Madman puts it in P7 with their first lap. Riding on board with 7 dead at the moment in P11, only a few hundreds behind the two cars in front. Improving by 3/10 in the middle sector, and it says it was purple, but someone behind is flying as well. It's AlphaTauri all out of shape. It must be Paul on another lap, but surely he hasn't got the ERS. So we see Sean start another lap as well. Let's take keep an eye out on him as well. Whether you can improve in sector 1. 1/10 improvement in sector 1 already. 7 dead goes to the top with a 22.2. So there's still quite a lot of time to be found. Over a 10th clear of Paul at the moment. But Sean is improving as well. 10th up in the first sector. Ooh, going over the curb, bouncing over the curb. That's going to compromise your exit, and I think he is backed off. Lost too much time with the moment in turn 7. So it's not going to be an improvement for Sean just yet. Going to pull back into the pit lane and try again in a few minutes time. Second. Of Ross is in P10 right behind his teammate, doing a very solid job on debut. Brian de Ripple taking a very wide line on the back straight and backing off. He's got Flying Duck right behind him, now ahead of him, who's still yet to set a lap time. One of 2 drivers without a lap time at the moment. looking to change that. It's into the final sector. Don't run wide. Keeping it within track limits this time. Surely we'll see their first time on the board. Only 4 minutes, might be their last time across the line for P10 for the Williams driver. That's a solid effort and it's incredibly close in the top 10. Take a look at the gaps. It's top 18 within a second. And Al5, well, just over a second, but he's looking to change that. This is up by 2/10 in the middle sector. Now coming through the final couple of corners. Currently in P19, across the line for P15, and that makes the top 19 within 9/10 of a second. It's always very competitive in Tier 2, and it shows once more tonight here in Abu Dhabi. Now take a look at Wardy, who's gone a bit out of sync compared to everyone else. Currently he's on a lap with only 3.5 minutes to go, so this is going to be his final lap, his final attempt to challenge for pole position. Can he find a bit more time? Only 2.5 tenths behind 7 Dead at the moment. And in the middle sector, 600's up on his time. 600s, that could gain him 2 positions, could have met P4. If he finds a bit more, might be able to get it into the top 3 and even maybe on the front row. He has to absolutely nail this final sector. He's playing with the track limits once again, very close to the white lines. Coming out of the final corner, P2 in the championship, and goes to the top of the times with a 22.2 out of nowhere with an incredible final sector. Half a tenth ahead of 7 Dead. That came absolutely out of nowhere. And when it matters, he gets it together, strings a lap together, and is in P1 at the moment. With his championship rival in P3, but he is on an outlap. And I'm sure Paul has got something to answer. He always has. And the Alpine of Charles is also improving. Pancakes retired from the session. He will be starting down in P20 for the sprint race. But could make up some places in the sprint race to put himself further up the grid for the main race. Netherlands going to P16. Now his teammate Charles around the final corner goes to P3 into the top 3. So Paul relegated down to P4. Knows he has to improve. Top 19 within 8 tenths now. It's insane, but Zimniak is not coming out, so it could only grow. Oh no. That is not what you like to see. When it's at the worst possible time, you get a disconnect. Thanks for the very quick invite. Hopefully we get to see final runs. Had some trouble yesterday with the servers and glitches. Not starting off clean tonight either, but we're back in the lobby, I hope. There we go. 40 seconds on the clock, we're back. Just in time. Very quick work, Arbon, and let's see. Deep Paul is on a lap and he's improving by 1/10 of a second, although is 1/10 gonna be enough? Because he is 2/10 behind Wally Cannon has put it in P4. That's a very solid effort, taking an alternative route on the back straight. Deep Paul, oh, and Deep Paul gets blocked on his final lap and straight into the wall is he invalidated. And it was one of the Aston Martin, it was Frenchy, who was starting another lap and got right into the way of Paul. And that's totally ruined Paul's chances of a pole position. He will be starting P5 at best in the sprint race, but it could get worse with others still on a lap Seven Dad is not going to be improving, and Wardy at the moment is on provisional pole position. Is anyone else going to be able to challenge? Sean might be able to. He was quick earlier on in the session with a 22.4 on his banker lap. He's got his teammate right behind him as well. Is Sean going to be able to get himself onto the front row, get himself on pole position, maybe across the line? Not an improvement. Considering the exact same lap time as he did before. That's honestly quite impressive. Who else then? Flying Duck now around the final corner. At the moment in P11. Across the line. Stays in P11 with not an improvement. Zimniak has gone out somehow. It was very tight before. But he is out. Across the line. P8 for the Mercedes driver. That's a good lap. Skullkiller was put it up to P5. Now we've got Frenchie. Well, was involved in an incident just a moment ago. Puts it in P12. Raider now across the line to P4 in the Williams. And he is ahead of Tent Cannon. Skullkiller Paul is down to P7. Anyone else on a lap? Ross is not going to be improving, nor is AMG, which means that Wardy is on pole position when it matters. Half a tenth ahead of 7 Dead and Charles. Raiden in P4 out of Tent Cannon, Skullkiller and Deepty Paul, championship leader, down in P7. You cannot write this stuff. Championship leader knows he has to outscore his rival. And when someone gets in your way, that doesn't help. We'll have to fight back in the sprint race. Fortunate enough that there is a sprint race. Sean is in P8 ahead of Sakir and Zimniak rounding out the top 10. If you take a look at the gaps, 7.5 tenths. Covers the entire grid. That's unbelievable. Look at this. Look at the top 4. Look at the top 5 within a tenth of a second. This is incredible stuff. I've never seen anything like this. In a league race, this is the top 10 within 3 tenths. How is it possible? And Wardy, pole position. Who would have thought? The driver second in the championship. Fights back when it matters, when he needs to. But it's very slim margins, because 7 Dead is half a tenth, 700ths to Charles, 700ths to Raiden, 900ths to Tent Cannon. And then 1.5 tenths to Skullkiller, who does a very good job for Alfa Romeo. And he might be able to help his teammate out, because he's starting ahead of Paul. Excuse me. Might be able to play a part in this race tonight. Sean, Sakir and Zimniak round out the top 10. Now we're going to move on to that sprint race. The one and only sprint race of the season. Going to get this race on the way shortly. 10 laps it's going to be to determine the grid for the main race, as it is in the F1 23 game. No shootout. Here we go then, the red lights are on, and when they're out, we're gonna be starting off this sprint race. The lights are out, but we're still waiting. Everyone on mediums and the safety car's been deployed. And no way, this has happened for the second time in a row, and there's been drive-through penalties. This is unfortunate. Happens, yeah, we're used to it. This will be a restart. Either way, with the drive-through penalties, a bit of a delay. Unfortunately, enjoy everyone driving straight into the wall. What was that? Here you go, piling up into the hairpin. It's been quite a common scene lately on this game. It's yeah, this game sucks. That's all I can say. These glitches are getting out of hand, and it's not just one time. I've seen it so many times before. Yeah. You can't do anything about it. Frustrating, but we move on, and we're gonna restart. Try again. Eliminate sprint races in Broke Boys. Yeah, I think that is gonna be the case either way. Sprint races, it's mostly trouble every time. Don't think we're gonna be seeing them soon after this this season or after tonight. Still, EA fixed their game. That's not gonna happen. Let's claim my podium pass rewards. I know you all want to see that. Versus VIP as well while I'm at it. Don't even use these, but yeah. 1284 items ready to open. Interesting. There we go. Getting back at it as soon as possible. It's frustrating, not only as a spectator, but as a driver as well. Getting into the rhythm right before the start, waiting for the lights to go out, and then get hit with a safety car. It could catch you off guard. I've experienced it before myself, where I get a drive-through. Yeah, just fix your game. It up so badly. I'm not gonna rant about EA for the entire night. Looking to get these races on the way shortly. Usually minor inconvenience, but not really anything we can do about it, unfortunately. Glad everyone joins as quickly as possible. Doesn't give up. See. We're gonna get this race going very shortly. And we're going. We're gonna try once again. What a sprint race. Don't forget your setups. Otherwise it could become a very long evening. We are. The fans were absolutely cheering it on here and above the garages. Not sure what they're cheering on. Bit of an early celebration, it looks like. So just be careful at the start. The chances of not another safety car appearing are very high. But better safe than sorry. Gonna get this race underway very soon. This sprint race. Might be another safety car, but we'll have to deal with it. Just be careful. Try to be overly aggressive at the start. Here we go. The 5 red lights are on, and are they gonna go out? Is the question. What? Zimniak's AI is ready to go, and we've got ourselves another safety car. Fortunately, nobody has gone a drive-through, so we can move on without having to restart. Although Zimniak's AI is gained quite a few positions with that. Not sure if he's having to let these cars through. He should. He should be having that, but then again, it's an AI. It will be a safety car start, a rolling start. Zimniak is letting the cars pass, which is very good to see. Yeah, only Sakir. So good to see. Anyway, what I was about to say, with the safety car start, we'll have 2 laps or less racing at high speed, meaning that the softs will last a bit longer. So the drivers starting on softs, which are Tent Cannon, Skokiller, Flying Duck and AMG, will have a bit of an advantage with these tires not having to be pushed 10 straight laps, but probably 8. Let's go back at the end of the next lap. We will see if they are going to be able to fight back, gain a few positions. You have to keep an eye out on them. The rest of them are all on the mediums. Well, it's been an excellent start from Wardy, who's remained in the lead. Material Germ is pitting onto a set of softs, I assume. And he's the only one to go into the pit lane, everyone else staying out. He was at the back of the grid anyway, I think, so yeah, it's nothing to lose. For the Haas driver, I think, how many positions did he lose with that? Only 1, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, so... We're bunching up a bit there in the back of the field. Not sure what's going on, but I'm sure they will be able to sort themselves out. So we're near the end of the second sector, and if Material Germ catches up to the field for the end of the lap, safety car will go in. And there we go, safety car in this lap, a little bit later than usual, but we will get this race on the way for racing speed. So Zimniak or Wardy, I should say, Wardy can decide the pace and when to get this race on the way. Rolling start procedure. And he's gone early, he's gone very early, and 7 dead, absolutely sleeping there. 1.5 seconds, 1.7 seconds is the advantage. What is going on? And Wardy is absolutely flown away. He just completely sent it, and 7 dead did not expect that, as Raiden is losing a few positions. I think he was a bit forced off track, unfortunately, down to P7. And been overtaken by Paul Skokiller and Tent Cannon, and Skokiller is looking to go for the move on the inside of Tent Cannon into the hairpin. And they fight themselves wheel to wheel, and Parl on the exit is pulling alongside as well, looking to get past these guys as quickly as possible. With the championship on the line, now it's going to the outside, it's going to be 3 wide into turn 6. And Tent Cannon backs off. Skokiller does not, knowing that his teammate is fighting for the championship tonight, or fighting for his teammate to still have a chance of the championship, and they're going wheel to wheel on the back straight. Skokiller has the inside line and he will stay ahead of Skokiller, and Tent Cannon is dropping back. A bit of a poor exit out of 7, and it's got her down to P8. Best starts Paul is very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo, who's got a 2-second gap to Charles. And Wardy himself got quite the advantage at the front. And Skoker is being the ultimate team player here at Abu Dhabi, like Perez was a few years ago. And Paul is looking to go around the outside at the turn 1, but he's not going to be able to make it. There's still wheel to wheel into turn 2, and Sean is looking for it on the inside as well. Wheel to wheel, and Skoker remains ahead, and the gap is now 3.5 seconds to the car in front. So if Paul is going to be able to get past, surely he's not going to be able to catch the cars in front, and they're still going at it, wheel to wheel, and Skoker around the outside. Now onto the main straight, or the back straight. And Skoker looks to be having a bit of a top speed advantage with Paul deploying his ERS. Paul deploying his ERS. He has the inside line of turn 6. I think that's finally position gained. He's finally got past Skoker there, but the gap is 3.8 seconds to Charles in front. And only 6 laps remaining. Will he be able to close that? I don't think so. It will be P4 at best for the championship leader. In a race where he needs to beat Wardy by 9 points. At the moment he's losing at 3 points. So we'll have to gain 12 points on Wardy in the main race. DRS has been enabled. So we start lap 5. Halfway into this race already. There's been a yellow flag up behind, and that's AMG in turn 14. Has had a moment, spun around, is down to P20. They're going wheel to wheel here, and Pry is found a way past Flying Duck and is up into P12. Flying Duck on the softs. Meanwhile, ahead of them, Madman and Frenchie are going at it. Raiden is in P9. He's struggling with pace. He's down to P9, and he's 2 seconds behind Tent Cannon in front as Frenchie here comes on the inside, and they're gonna take that position. Up at the P10, and Madman is looking to go from number 3 wide in the background, and there's contact, and surely that was never gonna go well. And it's Spry, and he has collided with Flying Duck, the Williams driver. Zimniak says thank you very much. He's up to P12. Material Germ, who pitted at the safety car, was down to P20. He's now fighting his way past Zimniak, and he's up to P12. That's a very solid comeback race, and they're 2 wide in the background. Let's hope they keep it on track, as Pancakes is fighting his way through to the front as well. Zimniak is struggling with, I think it is a default setup. That is gonna hamper him throughout this race, and the main race probably as well, which is quite unfortunate. I'm gonna have to deal with Nuddle in the Alpine. Out in front, Wardy still has the advantage as Material Gem gets a 3-second time penalty. That's gonna cost him a few positions. Wardy has got a 1.1 second advantage. So Charles is not quite within DRS. Charles, by the way, has found a way past 7 Dead and completely missed that. 7 Dead flashing as well, so no ERS in the battery. Charles in the Alpine in P2, and if he can get within DRS range, he might be looking for a win in the sprint race at least. Skullkiller is closing in on DPT Paul, but not quite able to go for it, and he's staying close with Paul, and that is crucial for both Wardy and Alfa Romeo. Cannon now ahead of both Aston Martins. Sakir down to P8. I think the McLaren went a bit wide coming out of 14. But another yellow flag, and I think it's once again for AMG having a not the greatest of races tonight. Second spin of the day. Raiden is pulling into the pit lane on lap 7. What is going on? Certainly there must be some sort of damage to the Williams driver, and he's retiring. So he will start the main race from the back of the grid. unfortunately. Oh, and his teammate straight into the wall. Oh, and he's made contact with the other McLaren of Ross. Absolute dramatic race so far for Williams. Both of them out of the points in near dead last, and Flying Duck went straight into the wall. He's made contact with the McLaren as the other McLaren of 10th Cannon, losing a position to Sakir, who is now up into P7. Wardy has got Charles for company, 3/10 is the gap. 7 Dad is struggling to keep up, and he has DPT Paul at 1.2. Skullkiller is following as well as Sean and Sakir and 10th Cannon. They're all right there in that train behind Paul, and they're slowly getting towards 7 Dad with only 3 laps to go in this sprint race. And the tires, most of them on the mediums, a few on softs. Skoker and 10th Cannon, the most important of them, fighting in the top 10. Charles is now right with Wardy. Quarter of a second is the gap, and surely with the help of DRS he's going to be able to find a way past the Alfa Romeo driver on the main straight. Pulls to the outside line, and that's position gained, and into the lead goes Charles. And then behind, DPT Paul is looking to go for the move on 7 Dad, and he's dropped the cars behind him. Sean is now the P5. Skullkiller is struggling on these softs. I think the life of these softs are coming to an end. And Paul has found a way past, and he's up at the P3, and now he's only 1 point behind Wardy in this race. Because Wardy has lost the position, Paul has gained the position, and now they're second and third in this race. But can Wardy fight back? Can he find a way back past the Alpine? Yet every point counts tonight. And Wardy's got a bit of an ERS advantage over Charles. We've seen 7 Dad flashing his rear light for the past couple of laps. He's struggling to hold on Paul as well, though I think he might be able to hold on to P4 as Sean is a bit further behind. Meanwhile, Wardy is back within DRS range, within attack range, 3/10 behind, not quite going to be able to go for the move on this occasion. Staying behind for now. A bit of a CRS. But I think he's going to stay behind until the final lap. But there is a risk of Paul, who is right behind. He's 1.2, 1.3. And if he has a solid final sector, he might be able to close the gap to the cars in front. And Sakir and 10th Cannon fighting it out once again. 10th Cannon going the long way around the outside. And she's up at the P7. Now head on to the final lap of this race. One final chance for Wardy. Got much more ERS to play with. He's not gonna have to worry about Paul because he's 1.5 seconds behind. So he has to focus on Charles. The fuel icon is flashing, so I wonder if he's got enough fuel in the tank. And he's closing in. He's going to use this straight to close in to Charles. He might be able to attack on the next straight. He's now right behind the Alpine. Going into 6 and 7. He has to get a good exit out of this corner, but he's not quite able to get the traction. Now going to deploy all his ERS. Charles has got absolutely nothing. What he needs, he knows that he needs to fight its position. He needs this win. He needs the sprint win, and it goes round the outside into turn 9, and Wardy retakes a little final lap, but that is a moment mid-corner, and Charles is fighting back but it's not quite enough alongside. So I'll have to deal with second place for now. He's right behind Wardy, but I don't think there's going to be any opportunity to retake the position. As you go into the final couple of corners, yellow flags everywhere. Not sure what's going on behind. Around the final corner, and it's going to be a win in the sprint race for Wardy. Finishes in P1 of Charles and Paul, meaning that Wardy gains 2 points on Paul in the championship. Paul from 7th on the grid, finishing P3 in the end. Solid progress throughout the race, and he's certainly going to fight for that win in the main race. 7 dead in P4 in the end. Of Skull Killer with a solid job in P5 out of Sean, 10th Cannon, Sakir, Madman and Frenchie rounding out the top 10. Wardy is victorious the first time tonight. Qualified on pole position. Lost the lead to Charles with a few laps to go. But found a way past in the end on the final lap with the final opportunity, and went on to win the sprint race. There we go, then 8 points for Wardy, 6 points for Paul. Paul knows he has to outscore Wardy by 11 points now in the main race. Paul is looking quite quick tonight. And ready to fight. Both Williams drivers unfortunately retiring from the sprint race. I have to start from 19th and 20th on the grid. It's the last thing they needed. Now we move on to the main race and hope that there is no safety car at the start. But I'm afraid that there is going to be a chance of another safety car. Hope everyone, hope nobody jumps a start. Get the race underway. Let's just hope. This is it. This is the race of the season. This is the race where a championship can be won if Paul outscores Wardy by 11 points. If he finishes outside of the top 5, he will not win the championship tonight. Regardless of where Wardy finishes. In a moment's time, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix will get underway. We're gonna find out. Paul is gonna win the championship. So good luck to everyone. Let's get this race underway. Possibly the championship decider. 5 red lights are once again on. And I'm afraid we are gonna have another safety car. Oh, and it's a drive-through penalty for Nuddle. That is very unfortunate. So we will have another safety car start. Darren has got a 5-second penalty for a collision. As we look at the tires, Marty and Charles are both on mediums. And Sean and Cannon as well inside the top 10. The rest of them are all on hards. And Pry is on soft. I'm not sure what's going on in the background. There are few incidents. But already a few people with some penalties. Only one jump start. That is gonna cost them later on in the race. So Pry is the only one on softs. He mixed between mediums and hards. But Wardy is on mediums and Paul is on hards, so different strategies for the championship protagonists. So another safety car deployed. Yeah, you can't get their game right. And Raiden is pulling into the pit lane on lap number 1 from the mediums. I wonder what tire he's going to go on. Absolutely no tire because he is retiring from the session. So he's not going out, and that's the driver third in the championship out of this race. And it's not been a good day so far for Williams. And at the end of this lap, safety car should go in. There we go. Confirmation. Safety car in this lap. Can Wardy pull off another brilliant safety car restart like he did in the sprint race, where he immediately pulled a 1.7 second gap? Will it be a bit closer this time? Left to right. Try and get the optimum tire temperature. Still a long way to go, 27 laps to be exact. He's gone early once again, but this time Charles is the number 2 driver is awake. So it's not a 1.7 second gap, it's a few tenths of a second still. But we're on green flag racing. This race, and Wardy has held on to the lead. Charles is mighty close to the back of the Alfa Romeo, 3 tenths between the two of them. Paul is gonna look to be able to hang on to these guys, to stay within DRS range. That will be optimal as long as he is on the hards. That's a tire advantage. Stay with them, that would be optimal for his race. Meanwhile, behind, Skullkiller fighting it out with Sean for P5 in his race. Sean going around the outside on the mediums, and Skullkiller has a bit of a poor traction out of the corner, losing out to Tantcan as well, and down to P7 it is for the Alfa Romeo driver. They were absolutely fighting it out at the back, almost 3 wide between Nuddle, Madman and Frenchie. Now the latter are now fighting it out. Still, a bit of contact between Madman and Frenchie takes the position away and is up at the P12. And we've seen a spinner at the background, and that's Simniak, who has had a moment. And he's round coming out of turn 9. Drops him down the order. Now on to lap 4 we go. Wardy with a not so healthy advantage. 2/10 only to Charles, and Paul is holding on to these guys. Semedat is not. 1.3 seconds is the gap. He might be under a bit of pressure from behind with Sean and Tantcan as got ourselves another yellow flag, and that's another retirement for the Williams, and Charles is gonna take the lead on lap 4, getting past Wardy early on in this race. And he fights himself up into P1 as behind Sean moves up a position as well. He's up into P4 on the mediums. Found the way past 7 Dead. 7 Dead is looking to fight back with the help of DRS. Not with the help of DRS, with the help of Slipstream and ERS. I'm not quite able to get himself alongside. Has to stay in P5 for now. Well, both Williams drivers are out of the sprint race and now in the main race as well. Yeah, horrible evening so far, or horrible evening in the end for Williams. Meanwhile, DRS has been enabled and Wardy is under pressure from Paul, struggling to stay within DRS range of Charles. Another spinner for Zimniak as Nuddle is going to serve his drive-through penalty. It's going to hurt him. Down to P17 it is. Just about within DRS is Wardy, but Paul is much closer to his championship rival. And Paul is going to pull to the inside and under braking for turn 6. Paul is going to fight away by later on the brakes. Takes the position away. Wardy looking to go for the switchback. Riding on board with the Alfa Romeo driver. A bit of a poor exit from Paul. But he stays ahead regardless. And the championship leader is up at the P2. And he's found a way past Wardy to get a step closer to the championship. Now Wardy's down to P3 despite being on the mediums. Paul, his pace on hards is incredible so far in this race. Basically the only one going so fast on the hards. Dimniak has retired as well, unfortunately. I think he has been on default setup throughout the sprint race and this race. Now Paul is within DRS range of Charles as well. And Wardy is going to be looking in his mirrors because Sean is coming at him as well. Saving a lot of ERS early on in this race. Got more than any of the cars around him. I think the most of anyone out of this, out of the entire field, Wardy has. So as long as he stays close to the cars in front, the chance of a win certainly not gone. Gap between Charles and Paul is down to 3/10. Basically the entire top 6 is within the DRS range of each other. And it's a bit of a gap to Sakir and the Aston Martin. And Skokiller. On to lap 7. Charles still in the lead, but Paul is within half a second of them and is looking to find a way past the Alpine driver. With the help of DRS and slipstream, he might be able to get close. Barty is staying close to his championship rival as well. Here comes Paul with DRS, slipstream and ERS. He's going to go for the move on the inside at the turn 6. He thinks about it, but he's not going to go for it just yet. And he's going to stay behind for now and might be able to get alongside with a better exit. Much closer to the back of the Alpine with the help of DRS, ERS pulling alongside. And he gets past and Paul takes the lead here on lap 7. And the championship leader has found his way past everyone else, starting 7th in the sprint race. He's now in the lead on lap 7. And is now going to be looking to extend the gap. Because at this moment, he will have a 10-point advantage over Barty, which is not going to be enough. So, only the best he can do is get himself the fastest lap of the race, or hope that Barty loses more positions. But it's going the way of Paul at the moment, who's already creating an 8-10 gap to Charles. Absolutely rapid so far in this race. A league of his own. Like we've seen before this season. Charles staying with him though in DRS range. There's yellow flags behind. And it's AMG who's had a moment. Meanwhile, Skokiller has found the way past Sakir. And can Sakir try and fight back with the better exit? He's going to have to DRS and slipstream. And Charles and Paul going at it once again. Charles going the road the long way around the outside of turn 9. But is not quite able to find the grip. Out of nowhere, Charles is coming back at Paul. With the 2 DRS straights. The Alpine driver is certainly not done yet, and he's going to be fighting for this win as well. And yellow flags behind. Oh, and that's an AlphaTauri going backwards. And it's Pancakes, teammate of Paul in this race, and gone into a spin and found his way down to P14. The front, Charles is not giving up. He's fighting for this. He still probably has the tire advantage. Here on lap 9, is he going to go for it? He's closing in rapidly. But I think he's looking on the inside, but he's not quite going to go for it. Staying behind just for now. Ooh, getting very close to the back of the AlphaTauri. But staying behind for now. Using a bit of ERS on the exit. And with the help of DRS, can he get closer once again? Can he find a way past? He's going to go to the outside once again, just like last lap. And into turn 9. It's Charles round the outside once again. Paul manages to hold off the Alpine. And Charles just can't quite find the grip. Oh, on the inside, a big moment there from the Alpine. Under braking, losing the rear end. The rear end stepping out, just like Paul there, out of turn 14. But he managed to regain control of the car. And he's still in this race, still with Paul ahead. They have similar ERS levels, and the top 5 is right there. Within 1 frame. Paul is not getting away with these guys anytime soon. A bit of a moment on the exit for Paul, and this is gonna allow Charles to get closer. And this time on the main straight, finds a way past before the braking zone, and he's up at the P1 once again. I wonder if Paul is going to fight it back. And we've seen it so many times, Paul losing the back end, not the first time in this race. Struggling for rear grip. Despite that, he's re-overtaking Charles, and he's back into the lead on lap 10. Swapping positions every lap, these two. Once again, Paul with a moment coming out of turn 9. Take care of the rear tires, mate. Gonna cost him later on in the race with higher tire wear. There's yellow flags around there. Not sure what has gone on. Bit of a battle here for P10. It looks as well. On to lap 11. Still the top 5 there, right with each other. Another yellow flag, and it's the McLaren of Ross, and he's had a moment. Span coming out of turn 14. And got him down to P15. Drivers making their debut tonight in 15th and 16th. At the moment, Material Germ has retired as well in the meantime. And here comes Charles once again. Just like last lap, it's a bit of a deja vu. And he's retaken the lead. With Paul on the exit. Certainly is going to come back. So much closer to the Alpine like he was last lap. Here he comes around the outside. And we go back into turn 9. And it's Paul ahead. Although Charles is still on the inside, but Paul swoops a long way around the outside, has much more grip and traction, and is able to stay ahead. And once again, it's a bit of a moment for Charles, and this time he almost hits the back of Paul. Going into turn 12. That was very close to contact between the two leaders. I'm on to lap 12, and Paul is pushing hard. 7/10 is the gap. Looking to get it above a second, so we could drive away without any problems, but Charles is just about staying within DRS range. Probably going to come back at the end of the second straight. As Bry has gone into the pits from softs, put on a set of hards till the end of this race, the Red Bull driver. Again, Charles closing the gap, and Paul has gone a bit too deep into turn 6, and with the help of the DRS, better exit, better traction, slipstream, and DRS, Charles is going to re-overtake Paul once again in this race, and he's taking the lead on lap 12 into turn 9. Constantly swapping positions. I think St. Cannon has found a way past Sean up at the P4. It is for the McLaren driver, and out of these top 5, Paul is the only one on hards. Still doing an incredible job to match the pace of these guys. Big slide coming out of the final corner for Charles. This time he is the leading car at the beginning of the lap. We're nearing the halfway point of this race. Oh, so much closer, and it's going on the inside of turn 5, and it is Paul taking the lead. And this time he will have the DRS, or not, he doesn't have the DRS. It's Charles, so Paul made the move, and he doesn't have DRS, so that's not going to pay off for him. As Wardy is now closing in as well, and Charles re-overtakes back into the lead. Just like the previous laps, it's going to be Paul with the DRS on the second straight. Going to be looking to retake the position. On the inside of turn 9, wheel to wheel with Charles. Once again, this time it's Charles around the outside, and now they're wheel to wheel going into the final sector. Is Charles gonna keep it up the inside? Not quite. And Paul retakes the lead at the end of lap 13. Constantly swapping positions, these two. Oh, and Sean has got himself a 3-second time penalty. That's gonna hurt at the end of the race. He's still in this leading group. But it's not gonna be any better than P5 right now for him. Oh, and Tent Cannon has spun. Tent Cannon coming out of turn 2 has lost the car completely. And she's spun the car down to P8 it is. While fighting for a top 5 finish. Now down to P9 in the McLaren, and now Sean has not got any DRS left, and here comes Charles on the inside of Paul. And oh, Paul looking there on the inside. He's not quite able to make the move, and now Wardy is trying to go for it. He knows this is his chance, pulling on the inside of Paul, and is he going to go for the double move on Charles as well on the inside of turn 9, and Wardy takes both the position and into the lead. And now Paul is the one in P2 and Charles down to P3, losing both positions. And now Wardy is leading his race ahead of his championship rival Paul, but crucially he is ahead of him. Charles is down to P3 and Sean has found his way within the ERS range for him, but he's got absolutely no ERS left in the battery. The 3 ahead of him do. So he will be struggling to keep up with them. Now on to lap 15, halfway into this race. And the lead has changed about a million times already. Basically every single lap. And this time it's Wardy out in front. But Paul is only 3 tenths behind, and surely he's going to go for it once again. Remember, he is going to go onto the mediums later on in this race. He will have the tire advantage. And he's already matching the pace of these guys ahead of him as he takes the lead once again. And he's back into P1 on lap 15. Wardy down to P2 and has a very poor exit coming out of 7. And Charles says thank you very much, and he's up at the P2. Wardy now down to P3 with his rival in the lead. The 7 dead found a way past Sakir. None of these drivers have pitted so far in this race. As Ross is up to P10 ahead of Nuddle. Then it's Pry and Tent Cannon almost going 3 wide with Pancake as well. They've already pitted. Tent Cannon has gone to a set of hearts and trying to go the long way around the outside of the Pry, and it's not going to work out unfortunately. And Ross has spun, so the other McLaren is round. And Tent Cannon got herself a 3-second time penalty as both Sean, Sakir, Frenzy, 7 dead and Skoker are all pulling into the pit lane for a new set of tires. Meanwhile, Paul has nearly got Charles out of his DRS, but just about holding on. The 1 second gap. As Pancakes retired in pit lane. Meanwhile, Pry and Nuddle going wheel to wheel in turn 2. And Pry is up at the P10 and he's right behind Skullkiller, who comes steaming out of the pit lane. He's gonna be under a lot of pressure from Pry and Tent Cannon, who's in this group as well. Comes Pry on the inside of turn 6. Before the braking zone, has found a way past, and now Tent Cannon is probably going to do the same. Under braking, has the inside line, bit of contact between herself and Skullkiller. Just enough space on the exit, and the McLaren squeezes past and is up into P10. As 7 dead and Sakir swap positions as well. 7 dead now into P7. Behind Sean, who has spitted. He was the first of the leading group to come into the pit lane. So I wonder if the undercut is gonna work for him. Alpha hype wall into the pit lane. Gonna drop down the order onto a set of mediums. Charles and Wardy staying out on these mediums, 16 laps. And they will only have to do 12 laps on the hards, so staying out as long as possible on the quicker tire. As Tent Cannon, with the help of DRS, is going to find a way past Pry, and Skullkiller is going to go for it as well. Pry braking much later though, and remaining ahead of the Alfa Romeo driver. Pry, no ERS left. Tent Cannon, no ERS left. But Pry has the DRS and is going to pull to the inside, and there is no gap there on the inside, but he was trying to go for it anyway. But Tent Cannon holding on around the outside and remaining in that P8 position. But Pry almost going into the wall there. And Wardy is spitted and he's gone onto a set of softs. I didn't think of that. I think they were going to go onto hards, but 11 or 12 laps on softs. It's going to be interesting for sure. As we saw in the sprint race, the softs didn't really last incredibly long. And Charles is staying out for yet another lap on the mediums. Well, Sean is caught up to the back of Frenchie. And he is getting past. And back into P3, and look at the gap he's got to Wardy. 2.5 seconds with the undercut. But Sean is on the hards and Wardy is on a brand new set of softs. And when are Paul and Charles gonna pit? I reckon Charles will pull into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Paul might do the same and go on to softs. There you go, both into the pit lane. Make sure to not hit the inside line, and Charles has exactly done that. Hitting the curb on the inside will get yourself a warning. Might be able to get removed after the race. It's a bit of a glitch. As Paul onto a fresh set of softs, same for Charles, and they're gonna come out behind Sean. Although Sean is on hards and he's got himself a 3-second time penalty earlier in this race. Come out behind French as well. Wardy is right behind the Aston Martin. And Wardy has done the undercut on Paul as he sends it up the inside into turn 5. And Wardy is back into P2. And he's got no DRS though. It's gonna hurt him just a little bit. As Paul is fighting away past Frenchie. Frenchie was yet to pit on the hards and up the inside. Later braking for Paul, and he is up into P3, now is right behind his rival Wardy. And Paul will have the DRS. Is he going to go for it, or is he going to stay behind into turn 9? We've seen him go for the moves early on in this race, but this time he's going to stay behind just for a little longer. Now Charles is right behind Frenchie. This is not a very good point to behind a car on slower tires. This is going to lose him a lot of time. Look how slow the Aston Martin in front is. Losing so much to the leaders. That's basically ruining Charles's chances of a race win. Finally find a way past as Frenchie pulls into the pit lane. But he's 2.8 seconds behind Paul and Wardy. Wardy's so incredibly close to the back of Wardy. And he's gonna pull to the outside line already before the hairpin of turn 5. Trying to go the long way around the outside, and he's made it work. Paul under braking so much later on the brakes, and he's found a way past before the corner, but Wardy has got DRS. I think it's a bit of DRS chicken between the two, and Wardy's gonna fight back and into turn 6. Gets the job done, and he's up into P2. And as long as he finishes right behind Paul or in front of them, Paul will not become champion tonight. But Paul this time has the DRS, and he is back at the P2. And the two of them have closed the gap to Sean in front. Sean on the hards, much slower than the brand new set of softs that are under the AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo. And this might help Charles just a little bit to try and close the gap. They're gonna be losing a bit of time behind the Red Bull driver. And Paul is actually gonna go for it around the outside of turn 1. And that's an easy job done. And Paul takes the lead on track on lap 21. And now Wardy is looking to go for the move as well, just staying behind. He knows he has the DRS of Sean. Paul does not have the DRS, so he might be able to slingshot his way past. There goes Wardy, up at the P2, and now right behind his championship rival. 2/10 between the two of them. Now move on to the back straight. DRS for Wardy. He's closing the gap to Paul, but he's not going to go for it just yet on this lap, staying behind, looking on the inside, but waiting for a better opportunity. There's still 8 laps to go, and they have to make these softs last till the end of the race. And Wardy's tires are a lap older than Paul's. So we'll have to take care of them to try and make sure it doesn't run into major tire wear complications. Lap 22 out of 29. 14 runners still in this race. And Wardy has got the DRS once more to close the gap. And Charles is right behind Sean now as well. He's going to be looking to find a way past as quickly as possible. And he's doing that with the help of DRS. Charles back into P3. And he's going to be looking to close the gap to the cars in front, pushing hard. On the sauce 1.6 is the gap. And if he doesn't get within DRS, Paul and Wardy are surely going to drive away. Seven laps to go in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. At the moment, it's still between Paul, Wardy and maybe even Charles for the win. And at the moment, Paul will not be crowned world champion tonight. But probably next week at Zandvoort. But still, anything can happen in these final 7 laps. But as long as Wardy finishes in on the podium, he will be fine, unless Paul gets himself the fastest lap, but he's nowhere near that. So as long as Wardy finishes on the podium, the championship battle will not be ended tonight. And look how close he is to the back of Wardy and Seven and Sakir. They're fighting it out once again, not the first time in this race. 7 dead, now up at the P5, but Sakir is once again very close to the back of the Ferrari driver. The 10th cannon right behind Skullkiller. And she was fighting with that leading group at the beginning stage of this race. And after an unfortunate spin, moved her down the order. Now she's fighting in the back end of the top 10. For a potential P7. Wardy and Paul once again right with each other, but Paul every time has got such a better exit coming out of 7 that Wardy can't attack into 9. And I don't think Charles is going to be able to close the gap and try and fight with Paul and Wardy, as Sakir once again gets past 7 dead. And I think Frenchie is at a moment on the main straight. He's all the way down to P12. A very good result last time out in Brazil. But tonight it's not quite going his way. He's out of the points. And quite the distance behind Brian in the Red Bull. Five laps to go. And is Wardy going to be able to do anything against Paul? He's still very much within striking distance. Staying with him, staying within a DRS range. I think he's saving up the battery for the final lap to try and find a way past, or not, because he's using his ERS. Now on lap 25, and he's going to go for it up the inside into turn 9, and Wardy takes the lead back on lap 25 out of absolutely nowhere. He is gone for it and just taken the lead on lap 25. That was very unexpected from Wardy. And this time it's Paul who is chasing the leader. And now there are 4 laps to go. Paul has got a bit of an ERS advantage. 29% versus 46%. Surely Paul is going to be looking to find a way past on the next straight with the help of DRS, potentially a bit of ERS on the exit. But he's so incredibly close to the back of the Alfa Romeo, he probably doesn't even need any ERS, and he finds a way past once again, and Paul takes the lead, retakes the lead on lap 26. As the Haas of AMG has had a moment, getting lapped by Paul and Wardy. Is Wardy going to go for it again into turn 9 on the inside, and he's going for it. The 2 championship rivals wheel to wheel into turn 9. Wardy on the inside, Paul trying to hang it around the outside. Oh, very close to contact, and Wardy once again finds himself ahead of his championship rival. And these two are absolutely going for it in the final stages of this race. Only 3 laps to go. Is it going to be Paul or is it going to be Wardy? There's still the ERS advantage for Paul. It's going to be a matter of who's going to be ahead going into the final lap. With these 2 DRS zones, it's going to be crucial to be behind one another. And if Paul is gonna overtake Wardy on this lap, Wardy might be able to attack or stay behind for lap 28 and attack on the final lap. So is that what he's gonna do? Is he gonna stay behind Paul, or is he gonna once again go for it using ERS on the exit just a bit? And once again he is closing the gap. And is he gonna go for it up the inside of turn 9? Once again these two are going at it. And Paul is trying to hold a long way around the outside. Bit of contact and Paul has to go off track. And Wardy is now back into P1, leading with only 2 laps to go. And it's another deja vu as the last couple of laps. It's been Paul getting ahead on the main straight and then Wardy attacking into turn 9 and taking the lead away to lead the final part of the lap. And that's what you want to do on the final lap. 2 laps to go, penultimate lap of this race. And if Paul is smart, he is going to stay behind, because he has so much more ERS. So it's not really worth it to get ahead, although if Wardy once again fights him going into turn 9, bit of a moment there for Paul. Now he's losing a lot of time. Although still with DRS and slipstream. He's closing in so much, and on the inside of turn 6 Paul takes the lead. Wardy trying to go for the switchback, get himself a better exit coming out of turn 7. But he's staying behind and now has the help of DRS. And into turn 9. He's gonna stay behind it for now. Knows that he has to be behind on the final lap. He has to stay with Paul now in this final sector. This is gonna be absolutely crucial. Riding on board with Wardy. Half a second gap, and Paul has still 52% ERS in the battery compared to Wardy's 30%. He's using a bit on to the final lap of this race. Lap 29 out of 29, 6/10 is the gap. And is that going to be enough for Paul to hold on to the lead, or is Wardy going to fight for it? Now on to the first of the 2 straights, and it's going to be crucial for Wardy to stay behind on this straight, because otherwise Paul might be fighting back on the next one. 4/10, 3/10. Is he going to go for it into turn 6? This is all or nothing for Wardy, but he's staying behind. Now it's going to be crucial to get a better exit than Paul. And Paul using absolutely everything of his ERS, and he's got a 5/10 gap. Surely that's going to be enough for Paul. And into turn 9. There you can see Wardy is nowhere near close enough to fight for it. Into this final sector, it's going to be near impossible to overtake, and it's a bit of a moment for Wardy, losing a bit more time. And now it's down to 4/10. And Paul can now just cruise it to the finish line, no mistakes, no penalties for track limits, as the Aston Martin has another moment fighting the car throughout. And as we come round the final corner of the final lap, and it's going to be DPT Paul winning once more, and he wins in Abu Dhabi. And with Wardy in P2, it means that the championship has not been secured tonight. Only a 7-point advantage in the main race, where Wardy beat Paul in the sprint race. So Paul wins the race, but not the championship yet. He will do that next week for sure at Zandvoort. In the end, Charles comes home in a very respectable P3 on the podium. Sean, in the end, will finish in P4. Ahead of 7dad and Sakir, who has been fighting throughout this race. Skull Killer finishes in P7, ahead of 10th Cannon, Alpha High Wallem Madman, rounding out the top 10. Final points paying positions. Russell Debut will finish in P11. Ahead of Pry and Frenchie for the final runners in this race. The rest of them are retiring. Another victory added to Paul's list. Championship extended, but not quite enough to secure the championship tonight. We got on 31 points for Paul tonight, 26 for Wardy, meaning Paul only outscored Wardy by 5 points. And he had to do it with 9. Fastest lap went to Prime. He will not get a point for that. Stand Cannon has yet another glitch in this game. But she finished P8 on track. And there we go then. Abu Dhabi wrapped up. 3 races remaining. Next week in Zandvoort we will see the championship being wrapped up. But not tonight. As Wardy absolutely fought for it. Anyway, on to next week. On to Zandvoort. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye for now. And have a good evening. Ciao, ciao.